Now, this is where the money starts to leave your account. Okay. Hi guys, I'm Sifiso. Welcome to my channel, Solo Living. Those of you that have been here before and caught my first video will know that I very recently purchased my first property back in December 2020. Since then, I've had a few people message me or DM me asking me about the process involved. A few of the brave have asked me about the costs as well. So that's exactly what this video is going to be. I'm literally going to take you on a step-by-step basis. Like, I'm going to show you everything that's needed to buy your first property. Now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a long video, so I've put timestamps in the description box below so you can skip ahead to the information that's relevant to you. And if you're just interested in the costs, then skip over to step 8, which is where the money starts coming out. So grab a notebook, grab a pen, and let's get started. Step 1, find a source of motivation. For me, it was an annoying little brother, but it doesn't have to be a sibling for you. It could be your neighbor, your mama, your neighbor's cat, your husband. Honestly, it doesn't matter. Just find your why and hold on to it, because this process is going to try you. Hold on to it. Step 2, go onto a mortgage lender's website to get an idea of how much they can lend you. So I liked to use Halifax. You go on Halifax's website, they have a mortgage calculator, and on there you put in a few details and it basically tells you, very rough idea of what Halifax is prepared to lend you. And as a general rule, this tends to be 4 times your annual salary. So if we take the average UK salary of 30,000 and assuming that you're buying on your own, that means most lenders are likely to offer you a mortgage of about 120,000, being 30 times 4. If you're buying with a partner, then obviously your chances are better because they take your combined income and then it's a multiple of 4. But I should say it's not literally a strict look at, oh, you earn 100k, we're going to give you 400k mortgage. No, they also take into consideration your outgoings and a whole number of factors that they do behind the scene. But this would be a good place to start just to understand how much lenders are willing to give you. Step 3 is deciding where in the country you want to live. Now, I know some people are die-hard Londoners and they're committed to buy whatever means necessary. And I know some other people are, stuck where they are because of commitments that they may have. But if you are more flexible, then have a look around and, think about where you are willing to move, because the prices across the country are ridiculous. Like, the variation, it's insane, absolutely insane. So I think it's worthwhile just having a little think about where you're willing to go. So once you have decided on the area that you want, it's now time to start stalking Rightmove. What you want to do is search for the type of property that you're after and get an idea of the price of that property in the area that you're interested in. You may have to sacrifice a little bit. You may have to be willing to give up a few things so you're not able to afford that 5-bed detached house as your first purchase. It's okay. Maybe start with something smaller and you will work your way up as time goes. Don't rush your blessings. So once you have an idea of how much your type of property is going to cost in your area, it's now time to get the calculator out and work out how much you need to save for a deposit. This is where it can get a little bit stressy and a little bit depressing, and you may be tempted to give up, but don't. There is honestly hope. Just stick with me. Stick with me. Let's assume your property costs £200,000. Remember that on your salary of 30,000, the bank is willing to give you 4 times, so they're willing to give you 120,000. You then need to bridge the gap between the cost of your property, 200,000, and the amount that the bank is willing to give you, 120. That's £80,000, guys. You need to find £80,000 for a deposit. Don't click off. I haven't lost it. Just bear with me. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on this, but there are a number of ways you can achieve your deposit target. You can either save up the deposit, or you can inherit some money from a long lost uncle, or you can take advantage of the government schemes such as the LISA scheme, whereby the government will invest, not lend, they will invest 20% of the value of your property as a deposit, such that you only need to come up with 5% deposit. Now, the LISA process is a whole other video in itself, so I don't want to get off topic, but comment down below if you do want me to go into a bit more detail on how that scheme works. So Step 6 is simply saving the deposit. How to save is another video in itself, but it's as simple as that. Save the deposit. I will, however, say this: the deposit is not the only cost involved, and you will see this as we go further into the video. So make sure, if I were you and I was you, I would save at least an extra £5,000 on top of your deposit amount to accommodate the extra expenses that are coming your way. And that's before furniture, and that's assuming that your property costs less than £300,000 and therefore you don't need to pay a stamp duty. Okay, so once you've saved up all your monies, now the emotional roller coaster can really begin. Guys, you get to go house hunting. I can't say how long this process will take. Honestly, you might see 200 properties before you find one that you want. Or if you're like me, you might fall in love with the very first one that you see and decide to go ahead with that property. I would recommend getting an agreement in principle when you go do your viewings. This is essentially a mock mortgage offer. You do an application similar to what we did in step 2, where you complete your details, your income, your costs, etc., and the bank will do a very quick soft credit check, and they will come back and let you know how much they're prepared to offer. They'll send this as a letter and an email so that you can take it along with you to your viewings, and it shows the estate agents, for the sellers, that you are serious, you have started this process, the banks are prepared to lend you XYZ, and you can get taken a bit more seriously, especially if you are viewing a property that has quite a bit of demand. It will give you that leg up. I didn't need it for mine, but I have heard stories from other people where they've needed it and it has come in really handy. So it doesn't cost anything, it's free, it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to do, so I think it's worth it. Now this is where the money starts to leave your account. Okay, so for these next steps, I'm going to be talking about my process buying a new build property. From what I've heard though, the steps don't differ between buying an old property or a new property, except that you might have to repeat a few of them when the chain breaks in the process. Step 8 is reserving your property. So you've found your property, you've fallen in love with it. Now you need to secure it so that nobody else can come and get it. You need to put down a reservation fee of up to £1,000. So this £1,000 will be deducted from your purchase price, but you need to have it in liquid cash at that time because you need to put it down to reserve your property. There's also a form that you fill in, and it basically just guarantees that the seller is not going to be showing your property to other people. Like, it's yours so long as you complete the purchase. Now you need to go and find a conveyancer. The only problem is these people want you to pay for the university degree. Okay, they charge a lot of money, like for real. You can expect to part with a good 1.5 to 2,000 Great British Queen Elizabeth money. It ain't cheap. And honestly, this is where you need to do your research. These people, the solicitors, they can make or break you. They can make or break you. This is such a stressful process, and I genuinely believe that they're the most important people in making it a smooth process. Or, like, I have heard horror stories. I know of one girl who went through the whole process and she had her money saved up in a LISA account. Come the completion date, the solicitor and her are looking at each other like, where's the money? Where's the money? Mind you, it's the solicitor's responsibility to transfer the money from the LISA account to the seller's account. There she is. She now had to go and get money from her parents to pay that deposit. What if you don't have parents who can just lend you a small little loan of $1 million? What if you don't have that? I don't know. Once you have instructed a solicitor, you now need to go out and find a mortgage broker. Now, a mortgage broker is somebody who can look at the entire mortgage market and basically find the best mortgage, the best rates, the best conditions for you and your circumstances. And what it is, you can do it yourself. You can find your own mortgage, but they just have access to a lot more lenders than you will, and you probably don't have the time to do it yourself, to be honest. And also, if you are purchasing used through the LISA scheme, they will handle that application for you as well, which I found invaluable. They just did so much and I did so little. But yeah, they are an asset. Now, from my research, mortgage brokers can cost from £0 to £450, and that just depends on you. Maybe you have really good recommendations for a particular broker that costs £450 and you decide to go ahead with them. Me, I decided to put that money towards a TV, so I didn't pay for my broker. I went with one of the free ones because they all have access to the exact same market. They all do the same job. It's just that some either just get a commission from the lender that you decide to go with in the end, and others get a commission and they charge you. So for me, it was a no-brainer, but it's up to you, honestly. Now you have a mortgage broker and a solicitor and you're feeling pretty grown up, but they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you while you do a lot of praying and paperwork. So your mortgage lender is going to send off your LISA application, and when that comes back, hopefully approved, he will then send off your mortgage application to your chosen lender. But don't worry, you will get a chance to confirm everything before he sends it off. But when he does send the mortgage application off, you need to pay a valuation fee to the bank, and that usually costs £200. And evaluation is basically where the bank sends some specialist guy over to view your property and just to make sure that it is worth what you are about to buy it for, because obviously they don't want to make a bad investment in this. It's worth noting that this is a step where people can incur some unexpected costs. So say you've budgeted your £200 for your valuation fee, the valuer goes out there and it comes back and it says, that property is not worth what you're willing to pay for it. The banks are not going to give you that mortgage offer, right? Because it's just not worth their investment. So you now have a couple of options. You can either go look to buy a different property, start your process all over again, or you can go back to the seller and say, look, my bank doesn't agree with the price that you're selling it for. Are you prepared to reduce it to the value given by the valuer? The seller can turn around and just say no, or they can ask you to go to a different mortgage lender. And this is because different banks use different valuers, and so the next valuation officer might turn around and agree with the seller's price. But either way, you're still incurring more costs, right? Because if you do go for a different bank, you have to pay for that valuation fee again. If you go and look for a different property, you have to pay for that valuation fee again. So it is definitely worth saving maybe 2-3 times the cost of a valuation fee, so £400-600. Whilst that's all happening, the conveyancer will be working behind the scenes doing their legal stuff that costs £2,000, such as your searches. So I've already bundled the cost of the searches into legal fees under step 9. However, at this step, you want to think about getting a home survey done. Now, a home survey can cost between £300 to over £1,000, depending on the kind of survey you want and how detailed you want it. For new build, I was told not to bother with a home survey because new build properties come with a 10-year warranty, which would cover all the things that a home survey would sort of be flagging. So let me just backtrack a little bit. With a home survey, you have a specialist come and look at your property. Again, depending on the type and detail you want, they'll come and look at your property and sort of flag that, hey, you know, this boiler is likely to give up in 6 months. That's money you're going to have to part with. Hey, the foundation is XYZ. They're just going to flag things that you need to know so that when you purchase your property, you know that you're likely going to have to pay XYZ in the next 2-3 years because of existing conditions. And this is where it differs with a new build, right? Because a new build will come with a warranty that will cover all those items. So even if, touch wood, those things do occur, it's fine. You're covered under the warranty, I hope. However, that's not to say that if you're buying a new build property, you don't have to worry about surveys. No. Some genius found a new way to make money out there. And there is what's known as a snagging survey for new builds. This is where you get somebody to come in and walk around your new build property and literally inspect everything. And these are like cosmetic items, right? For example, the radiator's not on straight, the door doesn't open too smooth, you know, like they come around and they look at those items and they will produce a report for you, which you can then take to your developer/seller and say, hey, there's a whole bunch of cosmetic errors, you know, there's a few problems with the way that you built the property. Can you get your team to come back and fix that for us? Now that, let me quickly check, that can cost around £400, and it depends on your area. Obviously London will be more expensive than other parts of the country. I didn't pay for it, and I am actually still considering whether I should get it, because you don't have to do this before you buy your property. You can do it after, depending on the window that your seller gives you. I believe mine is 6 months after I move in, so that is something for you to consider if you're buying a new build property. You can, sorry, I cut myself off there, you can, what I've done so far, walk around yourself and your friends and your family and have a look at, you know, what's not right, and email the developer yourself. But obviously you're not likely to catch everything that a professional would, but then is it such a big deal if you haven't spotted it? It's up to you. I should also flag that I personally did this step after I received my mortgage offer. This is because I didn't want to pay for my searches and then the bank turns around and doesn't give me that mortgage offer. I've just wasted that money on searches. So I waited for my offer to come through and then I ordered my searches. But doing so does delay the process, because now you have your offer, you now need to wait for the searches to come back, right? It's not a case of offer and next. So it's up to you. You want to risk the money, or are you willing to delay stuff by a few days? So the stars have aligned. Your searches came back clear. The bank wants to give you your mortgage. Praise Jesus. However, nothing is for free. The banks will have what's known as a product offer, and this usually costs £1,000 to £1,000.5, and some can be free but not many. And this is basically where you pay for the mortgage. You do have the choice of bundling this in with your mortgage, but if you do that, it does mean that you're going to pay interest on that £1,000 product fee. Or if you have the cash at hand, you can just pay it up front, but you need to pay it to get your mortgage. And then you guys, we get to exchange. Once you have accepted your mortgage offer, the conveyancer, they'll go back to earning their money, and they will be speaking to the seller's lawyers, and they will exchange contracts. This is the step that's known as exchange, because you've exchanged contracts and now you are legally bound to buy that property, and the seller is legally bound to sell it to you. If you pull out, you lose your deposit. You lose your deposit. So think 3 times before you tell your solicitor to exchange contracts, because that's it. You're legally bound. That is your property now, okay? Please note that the cheekiest foolery I have ever seen in my 24 years of breathing took place during this stage. I received an invoice, and there was a little line in that invoice that was basically telling me that I need to pay for the seller's solicitor fees. Me, Sifiso, I thought, now what now? I didn't tell them to sell their property. Oh, I really couldn't believe it. Now, apparently this is a thing that happens with developers, so specifically on new build property, but I want to flag that because nobody says anything. I spoke to a few people and they honestly, they had no heads up. It was just thrown into their invoice like, oh yeah, you need to pay for your seller solicitor fees. And I remember I complained about mine, which was £60. Guys, some people out there paid £400 to £650. Couldn't be me. And it's so cheeky because they give you this once everything is signed and dotted, so you really have no choice. You just have to come up with that money. So good luck to you if yours is the one that's £650. And you guys, I wish I had a glass of wine or a cocktail, but I like to drink water when talking about money. So but you should go ahead and celebrate, because this is the completion stage. This is where your money becomes the seller's money, and in return you get a 25-year debt. No, in all seriousness, you are now officially a homeowner. Congratulations. Go pick up your key, take that photo, show off a little bit, because you deserve it. Honey, you suffered, so enjoy it, okay? But make sure you remember to budget for furniture, because you need somewhere to sleep. You need somewhere to sit. Just Right guys, so those are the 15 steps to buying your first property. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video and got a lot of value from it. It took me quite a while to put together, so I would appreciate any feedback in the comment section below. If you have any questions or any future video requests, again, the comment section is where it's at. I'd also really love it if you could like the video and share, because it genuinely helps my channel to grow. And to my subscribers, new and old, I'll see you guys back here on Sunday for my first ever clean with me in my new flat. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Ciao.